Ladies and gentlemen, I need you to drop whatever task you are currently engaged in immediately. If you consider yourself a devoted aficionado of tennis, a keen student of sporting history, or simply someone who believes in the overwhelming and raw power of sheer human determination, you need to listen to this broadcast, right? Second, we are coming to you live with a breaking development that has sent massive shockwaves rippling through the entire Women's Tennis Association tour, effectively turning the city of Manila into the absolute epicenter of the tennis universe at this very moment in time. Tonight, we are promising you something far more significant than just simple score updates. We are guaranteeing you comprehensive wall-to-wall coverage of this unfolding event that is reshaping the season. However, what we are currently witnessing here at the Philippine Women's Open transcends the boundaries of a mere tennis match. This is a bona fide coronation ceremony, and frankly, it is nothing short of a full-scale revolution on the court. The headlines are already being frantically typed out in newsrooms across the globe. Social media servers are practically melting down under the immense traffic, and the entire sporting world is fixated on one name, one nation, and one incredible moment of pure, unadulterated defiance. The Golden Girl of the Philippines, that rising storm currently tearing through the ranks of the professional circuit, has just walked directly through the fire and refused to burn. She has survived the ultimate test of character, endurance, and skill in the sweltering, suffocating heat of high-stakes competition. In a showdown that was originally billed as a standard quarterfinal, but played out with the dramatic intensity of a Grand Slam championship decider, Eala went head-to-head with the Colombian dynamo, the 5th seed, and giant killer herself, Camila Osorio, and she has emerged not merely as a survivor, but as an absolute conqueror. This brings us directly to live update number 2 of our broadcast coverage, so please pay close attention. And let me be perfectly clear, the narrative has shifted violently and undeniably in the last hour. We entered this match questioning whether Eala could truly shoulder the immense crushing pressure of performing before a hopeful home crowd. We genuinely wondered if she could withstand the gritty clay court-bred tenacity of a relentless competitor who never gives up on a single ball. We are talking about a player like Osorio, a woman who has stared down legends like Iga Swiatek and lived to tell the tale, proving she belongs at the elite level. The critics claimed this was her ceiling. They argued passionately that Osorio's vast experience, her superior ranking, and her 3 prestigious titles would form an impenetrable wall that would halt the Eala campaign dead in its tracks. Well, tonight Alex took a massive sledgehammer to that metaphorical wall and smashed it to absolute pieces. We are discussing a performance that completely defies the official rankings and expectations. We are witnessing a level of mental fortitude and steel that you simply do not see in 21-year-olds every single day of the week or even every year. The atmosphere inside the center court was thick enough to cut with a knife, suffocating humidity, immense psychological pressure, and the heavy weight of millions of expectations hanging precariously in the balance. Despite it all, Eala played with absolute ice in her veins. This was not a casual walk in the park. This was an all-out war of attrition, and Osorio certainly came ready to fight for her life. The Colombian star threw everything she had at the youngster, the delicate drop shots, the high-bouncing moonballs, and the ferocious, aggressive baseline returns designed to break her opponent's rhythm. There were terrifying moments in this match where it appeared the dream was dead in the water, moments of agonizing silence where the crowd in Manila was absolutely deafening in its collective anxiety. Yet every single time Alex found the answer. Every time she was pushed to the absolute brink of defeat, she dug deep and unlocked a gear that we did not even know she possessed until tonight. And now the tournament bracket has been blown completely wide open, with Osorio's shocking elimination from the draw. The victim number 2 tag has been officially applied to the fallen seed, and the eyes of the sporting world are already turning to see what happens next in this incredible saga. Because if Eala can dismantle a player of Osorio's high caliber under these grueling conditions, the question is no longer if she has the ability to win the title. The real question we need to ask is, who on earth is capable of stopping her now? We have victim number 3 looming on the horizon, and the semifinals are poised to be an absolute bloodbath. But before we jump ahead to the next round, we must look back. We have to dissect, analyze, and understand exactly what just transpired on that hard court to appreciate the magnitude of the upset. Because what we saw tonight was more than just tennis. It was a loud, booming statement declaring that the new era isn't just approaching in the distance anymore. It has arrived right at our doorstep. So strap yourselves in because we are going deep. We are going to break down every set, every tactical shift, every drop of sweat, and every scream of victory. This is the definitive, unvarnished story of how Eala stunned the world and put the tour on notice. This is the story of the Battle of Manila. Let us dive in. To truly understand the magnitude of this victory, we first have to respect the immense quality of the opponent she just faced. Context is king in the world of tennis. If Eala had beaten a qualifier or a lucky loser, we would be pleased, but we would not be this ecstatic or this amazed. But Camila Osorio is a different beast entirely. Let us examine the profile of the woman who is standing across the net fighting for every point. Camila Osorio might be ranked in the 80s currently, but she plays with the undeniable quality of a top 30 talent, having been a former world number 33. She is a player raised on the red clay of Cucuta, Colombia. Why does that matter on a hard court? Because clay court specialists are the true masters of geometry and court coverage. They do not just strike the ball, they construct points with intention. They are incredibly patient, and they are intensely physical in their approach to the game. Osorio is famous for the grind. She does not gift you free points. You have to bleed and suffer for every single inch you gain against her defense. She has 3 significant titles to her name. She has defeated Grand Slam champions and possesses the deep experience of competing on the biggest stages in the world. From the grass of Wimbledon to the clay of Roland Garros and the hard courts of the US Open, she has seen it all. Coming into this match, the tactical book on Osorio was crystal clear. She was going to attempt to disrupt Eala's rhythm, knowing full well that Alex loves pace and likes to hit the ball hard, flat, and fast. Osorio's game plan was always going to be to slow the tempo down, utilize heavy topspin mix in the slice, and frustrate the young Filipina into making costly, unforced errors. It was a classic clash of styles, the power hitter versus the counterpuncher, the energetic home favorite versus the crafty, seasoned veteran. And for the opening 20 minutes of this match, it appeared that Osorio's strategy was working to absolute perfection, much to the dismay of the fans. Let us discuss the first set in detail. This is where the shock factor really begins, because initially, it looked like a total disaster was unfolding for the home team. The nerves were palpable and heavy in the stadium. Eala came out tight, and you could visibly see the tension restricting her usually fluid footwork. She was half a step slow moving to the forehand side, and she was significantly overhitting on the backhand wing, sending balls long. The crowd, desperate to cheer for their hero, was hushed into nervous murmurs as Osorio broke serve early. Osorio was playing 4-dimensional chess while Eala was trying to find her footing. Osorio came out of the gate playing that trademark brand of suffocating, relentless tennis. She gave Eala absolutely zero pace to work with, constantly looping those heavy, high-kicking topspin balls deep into the baseline dirt. It was a strategy designed to frustrate, forcing Alexandra to generate 100% of the velocity on every single stroke, draining her tank right from the first ball struck. When she fell behind 2-4 in that opening stanza, it felt like the outcome was already chiseled in granite. Up in the press box, the skeptics were already sharpening their knives, pre-writing their post-match autopsies. They were ready to splash headlines across the back pages about another valiant effort that was spirited but ultimately insufficient. The narrative was set to be that Eala simply wasn't seasoned enough to run with the big dogs at this elite tier just yet. But here is the thing about sports. Moments of absolute crisis like this are exactly where true champions are forged in the fire. It's not about how you start. It is about how you handle the heat when the kitchen gets smoky. That was the undeniable turning point of the entire evening. Staring up from a 2-4 deficit, you could witness a tangible physical shift behind Alexandra Eala's eyes. This wasn't just some standard tactical tweak signaled from her coaching box with hand signals. This was something primal. It was a complete and total internal recalibration. She stopped trying to blast Osorio off the court with raw, unbridled power, which is exactly what Osorio wanted, and started playing with a significantly higher tennis IQ. She switched from playing checkers to playing 3-dimensional chess. She began dissecting the court with acute surgical angles that would make a geometry teacher proud. Instead of trying to hit right through the Colombian wall, she started opening up the geometry of the court to stretch the defense, making Osorio cover every single inch of the painted lines. The critical tactical adjustment that flipped the script was the relentless deployment of her cross-court backhand. Now, we are all well aware that Eala's two-hander is a legitimate weapon on the tour. It is her bread and butter. We know about the velocity, but she started using it with devastating precision to pin Osorio deep in the ad corner, practically putting her in a straitjacket. By locking Osorio onto that backhand wing, Eala carved open the entire down-the-line corridor for her forehand drive to finish the job. It was a strategy based on simple, brutal geometry, and it worked to absolute perfection. She stopped playing Osorio's game and forced Osorio to play hers. Breaking back to level the set at 4 games apiece triggered an absolute explosion of sound. Easily the loudest eruption I have heard inside a tennis stadium throughout the entire 2026 season. The roof nearly blew off the arena, the foundations shook, and you could see Osorio visibly rattle under the sonic assault. For the very first time in the contest, the Colombian player looked up at her player's box with genuine fear and doubt swimming in her eyes. The unshakable confidence was suddenly very, very shaky. She was executing her game plan, but the ball kept coming back faster, harder, and with more malicious intent. Eala claimed that first set. But let's be honest, it wasn't a masterclass in aesthetics or a ballet. It was a dogfight in an alley. It was a wrestle in the mud, a sheer grind where style points didn't matter. But winning ugly is the hallmark of a top 50 player, and make no mistake, Eala is playing like a solidified bona fide top 50 talent right now. Now let us transition to the second set narrative. If the first set was a grueling physical battle of attrition, the second frame was pure, unadulterated psychological warfare. Osorio is a scraper and a fighter. She didn't just roll over and accept defeat, she dug deep into her bag of tricks and started incorporating the drop shot. And oh my goodness, those drop shots were filthy. She was dragging Eala into the net, treating her like a yo-yo, testing her lateral movement and challenging her touch under pressure. There was a pivotal game at 2-all in the second set that lasted over 12 excruciating minutes, an eternity in tennis time. It went to 7 deuces. This was the crucible. This was the specific moment where the entire outcome of the match would be decided. The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. If Osorio holds serve there, she captures the momentum and maybe the set. If Eala breaks, she effectively strangles the last bit of hope out of the match and steps on her opponent's throat. Let us analyze the point construction during that massive 12-minute game. Eala displayed a level of maturity and composure that was frankly terrifying for a player her age. She looked like she had been on tour for a decade. She refused to panic on the high-pressure points. Osorio held multiple game points, serving out wide several times, desperately looking for the cheap ace or a service winner to bail herself out of trouble. Eala's return of serve statistics in this specific game were absolutely off the charts. She wasn't just blocking the ball back, she was stepping inside the baseline and hunting for the return. She was taking the ball aggressively on the rise, robbing Osorio of reaction time. There is a specific shot I need to highlight. It occurred at advantage Eala breakpoint number 4, the moment of truth. Osorio struck a heavy dipping forehand that landed right on the baseline, kicking up a cloud of white chalk. It was a tremendous shot that should have elicited an error. A year ago, Eala might have framed that ball into the stands or dumped it into the bottom of the net. Tonight, she adjusted her footwork, took it as a buttery smooth half volley, and redirected it down the line for a screaming winner that left everyone stunned. That shot was a dagger straight to the heart. It not only broke Osorio's serve on the scoreboard, but more importantly, it completely broke her spirit and her will to fight. From a lead of 3 games to 2, Eala went into total lockdown mode. This is a term we usually reserve for the absolute giants of the sport, like the likes of Djokovic or Sabalenka. It is that zone where you refuse to miss, where you become a literal brick wall that nothing can penetrate. Eala's unforced error count in the final 4 games of the match was exactly 0. She was flawless. She played perfect high-percentage tennis. She served with absolute authority, hitting her spots with surgical precision rather than just relying on raw radar gun speed. Her first serve percentage climbed to a staggering 78% in the closing stages. You simply cannot beat a player serving at 78% on a fast hard court when the crowd is screaming for your blood and waiting for you to fail. And let us talk about that crowd factor for a second. We cannot ignore the massive, game-changing impact of the Manila effect inside that arena. Playing at home is often a double-edged sword. It can crush you with the crushing weight of expectation, or it can lift you up like a tidal wave. Tonight, Eala didn't just swim. She grabbed a surfboard and rode that wave all the way to the shore. Every single time she struck a winner, the kinetic energy in the stadium visibly transferred into her body language. She looked taller, faster, and stronger with every cheer. She was pumping her fist. She was making direct eye contact with the fans. She was feeding off the noise like fuel. Osorio, to her credit, tried her absolute best to block it out and stay in her bubble. But there is only so much mental isolation you can maintain when thousands of people are physically willing the ball over the net against you. Eventually, the dam breaks. When that final ball from Osorio sailed long past the baseline, the release of emotion was absolutely primal. It was a roar that had been building for 2 hours. Eala dropped to her knees on the court not just because she won a massive quarterfinal match, but because she had proved a massive, undeniable point to the tennis world. She proved that she belongs in the conversation with the absolute best in the world. She proved that her current ranking of number 49 is just a temporary stop on the express train to the top 10. Now for the statistical breakdown. Let's look at the metrics because at the end of the day, numbers do not lie. Let's look at the winner count. Eala hammered 28 winners compared to Osorio's meager 15. She was the aggressor. She dictated the flow of the points. And breakpoint conversion, this was the headline stat of the night. Eala converted 5 out of 7 breakpoint opportunities. That represents clinical, ruthless efficiency that you usually only see from Grand Slam champions. When she had the chance to hurt Osorio on the scoreboard, she didn't hesitate for a split second. Net points won. Eala approached the net 12 times and won 10 of those points. This demonstrates her rapid evolution as an athlete. She isn't just a baseline grinder anymore. She has blossomed into a true all-court player with soft hands and killer instincts. She is finishing points at the net, which is crucial for preserving her energy for the grueling rounds ahead in this tournament. Now about that victim narrative we mentioned earlier, we talked about identifying victim number 3. Let's unpack that right now and look at the trail of destruction. In the round of 16, Eala absolutely dismantled Himino Sakatsume. That was victim number 1. Tonight, she took down the seasoned, gritty veteran, Camila Osorio. That is victim number 2 added to the collection. So the question on everyone's mind is simple: who is going to be victim number 3? Ladies and gentlemen, we have officially reached the penultimate stage of the competition as the semi-finals are now locked in. The tournament bracket has shattered in the most unpredictable way possible. Yet the path to the championship trophy has effectively become a vertical climb from this point forward. Every remaining contender has witnessed the absolute masterclass Alexandra Eala just unleashed on the court, and it has sent a clear warning shot to the field. You can bet your bottom dollar that the coaching teams for the remaining players are huddled around screens right now, dissecting the match footage frame by frame. They fully understand that defeating Alexandra Eala in Manila amidst this electric atmosphere will require nothing short of a career-defining performance. Standard play simply will not cut it anymore. This monumental triumph over Camila Osorio does far more than just advance her to the next round. It completely rewrites the odds at the sportsbooks. The entire storyline has flipped on its head. Eala has shed the skin of the plucky underdog we were all rooting for earlier in the week. She has evolved into the undeniable legitimate favorite to lift the title in 2026. However, wearing the crown of the favorite brings a suffocating level of expectation that she hasn't had to deal with until now. The big question remains: can she maintain this stratospheric level of tennis when the target is firmly painted on her back? Furthermore, there is the massive question of physical durability after such a punishing war of attrition. Osorio forced her to cover every square inch of the court tonight, pushing her endurance to the limit. The critical recovery protocol is not something to think about later. It begins this very second. We are talking about immediate ice baths, deep tissue therapy, and aggressive rehydration strategies to flush out the lactic acid. The turnaround time between matches is brutally short, but we must take a brief moment to recognize the colossal magnitude of this victory for the Southeast Asian tennis scene. We are witnessing a tangible tectonic shift in the global power structure of the sport right before our very eyes. For decades, the tennis world has trained its spotlight almost exclusively on European and American powerhouses. However, Eala is single-handedly carrying the banner for an entire region, placing the hopes of millions squarely on her shoulders. Taking down a South American clay court specialist in a high-stakes showdown on hard courts is the ultimate statement of tactical versatility. It proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that Alexandra's skill set is universal and translates seamlessly across all playing styles. She has shown she can blast through defensive walls and outgrind the most patient baseliners. The surprise here isn't the fact that she secured the win. The real revelation is the specific manner in which she dismantled her opponent. She absolutely dominated the psychological aspect of the match against a player who is renowned for having an ironclad will and mental toughness. She outmaneuvered a master strategist and out-hustled a relentlessly gritty fighter. As we cast our eyes toward the semi-final matchups, the tag for victim number 3 is already being printed and prepped. It does not matter if the next opponent is a top-ranked seed or a dangerous floater. They are walking straight into a gladiatorial arena. Eala has had a taste of dominance, and she is hungry for more. The home crowd has sensed the vulnerability of the opposition and is in a frenzy. The momentum behind this run is moving like a runaway freight train with no brakes. The message being sent to the locker room is deafeningly loud and crystal clear. Alexandra Eala is no longer just happy to participate or make a deep run. She is on a mission to keep that trophy on home soil. So, what does this mean for the rest of the tournament? We leave you this evening with the searing image of Alexandra Eala standing tall at center court, arms raised in triumph, soaking in the thunderous roar of her compatriots after securing the most significant win of her 2026 campaign thus far. The electronic scoreboard might just show a match win, but the history books will record this moment as a pivotal turning point in her career trajectory. We have had the privilege of watching the real-time evolution of a superstar. We have observed the rapid transition from a promising young talent into a lethal, legitimate title contender. Camila Osorio, a true warrior who deserves immense respect, left her heart and soul on the court and gave absolutely everything she had in the tank. But in the end, she was relegated to a supporting role in the Alexandra Eala spectacular. The headlines tomorrow morning will likely scream about an upset or a shock result. However, for those of us who have been analyzing her form closely, this was no accident. It was an arrival statement. That said, the mission is far from complete. The festivities must be kept brief. The semifinals are looming large on the horizon. Victim number 3 is waiting in the wings, and you can rest assured that the level of competition is only going to get more ferocious from this point onward. Can Eala maintain this ferocious intensity? Does she have the stamina to ride this emotional and physical wave all the way to the championship podium? Or will the accumulated fatigue from this marathon battle come back to exact a heavy toll in the next round? The answer remains a mystery for now. But there is one thing we can say with absolute certainty. You do not want to miss a single second of what unfolds next in this drama. The Philippine Women's Open has officially become the most captivating sporting event on the planet right now. And we will be right here to document every serve, every volley, and every heart-stopping moment. This has been your comprehensive deep dive into the match that sent tremors through the tennis world. The old hierarchy is crumbling. A new queen is rising. Perhaps it is a bit premature to declare it, but the crown is undeniably within touching distance. Make sure you are subscribed to the feed. Ensure your notifications are toggled on, because the moment the first ball is struck in the semifinals, we will be back on air with live update number 3. The journey to the championship continues, and the Eala Express shows absolutely no signs of slowing down.